All right, we back. And this is Galactic Family of Life, part 17. All right, hit me with that first question.
The young elder, can you tell me about the Dero?
We were reading from a chapter out of my book called The Dero, right? And it's part 17. We're about to go in, right? In order to understand the Dero people, I must take you back, right? To a people called the Tero, right? Which they made a movie about called the Coneheads, right? Which they label as comedy. But enough of the game, right? Because we got the people's skulls. And these beings migrated to Earth, right? From a planet called Yabahaan, which is located in the out.Their star system, right? Which is 36.7 light years away, okay? They dwelled on this planet for billions of years, but before then, what they call their elder gods migrated from the Andromeda's galaxy to Yabahaan, right? To set up new headquarters, right? Which later on migrated to Earth, okay? And to kind of give you an understanding on what these beings look like, they have a cone-shaped skull. They can get anywhere between 6 and 8 foot tall, and they can get anywhere between 180 to 250 pounds. The original beings that came here had pigmentation. The original Teros had pigmentation, meaning they were dark in color, which they show you one of them driving the ship to pick up Beldar in the movie. These dark-skinned pygmy Teros were the elder god. They are physically very strong, the male species. They are physically strong, and they shuffle when they walk. And this is due to the gravity on Yabahaan, right? Giving them extra physical strength, because 1,500 pounds on their planet is equivalent to 300 pounds here, right? So they are physically strong. They also seem to possess a unique electronic kinetic abilities enhancement which stimulates from the top of their cones. They live under a giant red star which has a strong gravitational pull, causing them to shuffle when they walk and making them extremely strong. They appear to have extremely high metabolism rates. Therefore, they eat more than a human eat in every particular setting. So like you got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which you only supposed to eat one time a day if you us. That's another story though. But in 3 settings a day, they will eat 6 times more than the average human because they have a high metabolism. Like you go to a chicken place and order a 2-piece with a fry and a drink, they'll order a 10-piece with a family size fry, right, and 6 drinks in order to fill them in one setting. They also have a very distinctive style of speech, which they speak very fast, nasal and monotone. They use sentences like, I summon you, right? They sleep upright and about in between 2 to 4 hours a day. They can consume food, which they call consumables. They can consume food sources that may be harmful to humans. Another reason for them walking with the shuffle is to keep their brain from rattling. Because their brain, they have no blood in their skull, which is why they call humans blood skulls, right? The blood skulls. The original elder gods of these beings, right, are agreeable. And for the most part, these beings were agreeable. Refugees who came here and migrated to the planet Earth and landed in a place, right, called Asia-They, and mixed in with the Shin dynasty, the original dynasty of the Asia, and created what you call the Chink man. And these beings had a 48 chromosomes, right, with no hair. And when they crossbreeded with the Shin, right, giving them the hollow hair, right? And then these Shin dynasty later on, like we say, go back and get that Majesties of America. These beings traveled over to America and mixed in with the Umaks, right? That were already here, the Moors, right? Whatever floats your boat. These beings wear a black polyester type uniform with their rank located on it and their symbol. And their symbol is a 3-moon eclipse, right? Because they have 3 moons on their planet Yabahaan. They have 3 moons. And they have a ceremony every year where they bring judgment to the guilty called the ceremony of the 3 moons, right? Where these 3 moons eclipse. And at this time, the elder gods bring judgment on those who have committed crimes on their planet, because they work off a monarch system, right? Having a king and a queen and so on and so on and so on. So they work off a monarch system. So they have the head elder god who are a councilman, and this councilman answers to the king or the leader which they call the High Master. And judgment is done once a year at this ceremony of the crossing of the three moons, right? Where they eclipse each other. Eclipse their red giant sun, right? Which is in the Boot star system, which we told you is 36 light years and some change away. These beings have cone-shaped ships resembling their cone-shaped head, which can fly at light speeds, at light year speeds, right? And has cloaking devices, right? Which means their ship can be hid. The cloaking device, we'll get into that later on another tape called Ancient Technology, where we're gonna tell you about how some of our ships work. We're gonna get into that. But right now, we're telling you about the Tero, who migrated, who elder gods migrated, right? Which were a greenish blue color, who migrated and who vibrated on a spiritual tone, right? Who migrated from Andromedans to Jama, right? Where they had 3 moons under a giant red star, right? And then these beings, a group of these beings later on, due to a war that took place, migrated to the planet Earth, landed here, right? And as time went on, these beings mixed with another race of beings called the Furgelrods, a drafted race of beings which came down out of the Hindu Avatar race, right? Which landed down, which live in the area of India today. The Furgelrods, right? These beings were drafted by another being whose name was Yaku, right? Who was a crossbreed between the Danaka, which we told you about on Galactic 15 when we introduced you to the supercomputer mech, right? These Danaka beings, right? Because there was a treaty made between these beings. And the Danaka king, whose name was Furgelrods, gave his daughter to the prince of the Tero tribe, right? And the king of the Tero tribe gave his daughter to the king of the Danaka to make peace with them, right? Due to the Dero race, who we're about to get into, who were attacking, they are disagreeable beings who were attacking these other beings who lived underground. And the Tero were partially responsible for these beings, which is why they feel the responsibility to keep a tab on these beings and to see to it that they don't take over, right? Which is their whole plan, the Deros. Watch this. It took Yaku, who was a crossbreed between the Danaka and the Teros, the Coneheads, 600 years to separate the two germs and to make the lighter germ and to keep the lighter germ and to destroy the darker germ, right? Creating this race called the Furgelrods, who had blonde hair, right, and blue eyes, who went to go live in the cave, right, and became the caveman, right? But Yaku taught them their trickery, okay? So these Furgelrods, like I say, they lived in the cave. These beings later on came down out of the cave during the time, because you go back 8,400 years ago when you're dealing with the Furgelrod creation versus the Canaanites. But these beings, these Furgelrod beings, about 2,400 years after the fact, dealt around in Babylon, or what you call Iraq today, right? With a whole bunch of crossbreed mixing, right? Because the Tero mixed their seed with the Furgelrods, and these Furgelrods were beings who performed beastiality, right? And they were having sex with everything. Find a hole in the tree and stick their junk in the net and go to banging. Put some honey in it and go all the way to a town called Climax. So the Furgelrods were honeysuckers, and they were taught their trickery by their father Yaku, who we told you was a crossbreed between the Danaka and the Tero. You want to find out who the Danaka is? Go back and get that Galactic 15, right? So it goes all the way back to the sons of God coming down from heaven, or the sons of God coming down and mixing their seed. Different races of extraterrestrial, right? Different groups of extraterrestrial that look different came down and mixed their seed. Disagreeables, fallen, right? Some agreeable, some disagreeable. Mixed their seed, right, in this land. So a lot of mixing took place. And out of this mixing, you get beings called the Dero, which is a crossbreed between the Tero, the Furgelrods, the original water bird being, which is evidenced in the penguins, right, and the cow, right? And we're about to get into these Deros and break them down for you so you can understand what they're about and their game and how they are shell or avatar, right, for a fourth dimensional race who were cast down. We're gonna get into that because get ye into them swine. About to get into y'all, right? You Dero. So like we told you on the previous tapes, the Tero and the Dero eventually went underground to live in advanced cave systems still to this very day, okay? Now these Deros who also went to live underground, right, in advanced cave systems, like we told you, they were a crossbreed between the Furgelrods and the Tero, the Conehead, right, which later on was sliced and crossbreeded DNA with the penguin and the cow, right? I'm about to get into that because they give you a penguin in the series of Batman, right? If you take a look at the penguin, what you're looking at is a Dero, right? A younger one, because the longer their nose, right, the older they are. And I'm about to get into that, right? The Deros look similar to human with a few different features, right? They grow to be 7 foot tall and are extremely obese. They can weigh as much as 800 pounds, right? And they appear to be bloated. They are bloated, in fact, right? Because they suffer from a thing called gastric dilation, right? And this happens because they like a pit bull, right? They can't breathe while they eat. So they eat real fast and their stomach fill up with air, thus causing them to have to burp, right? Or belching, what they call belching or burping, right? And they burp real loud. And the smell alone will kill you, right? Because it's stinking, because what they eat, their choice of food. So they eat real fast, and the air get trapped in their stomach, causing them to be bloated. The Deros are born from hatching from eggs. They can be 4 to 6 feet in diameter, right? And they can live, long as they stay underground, they can live to be 1,200 Earth years, right? But if they come to the surface, they can live to be about 300 years old, right? Their skin is a pale pink, like a pig. And when they get mad or angry, they turn a reddish yellow color, right? They have no fingernails, no toenails, no navel, or no rectum. That means ass, right? Asshole. They don't take shits, right? Everybody get into that, right? They have no hair except the blonde eyebrows they got, right? They have a silver, gray, yellow eyes. They glow in the dark, and they nocturnal, man. They can see at night, right? They can see in the dark, right? They inherit this capability because they live in the cave systems underground where it's dark, right? They can hear extremely well and smell extremely well. Their smell senses is heightened 10 times that of a bloodhound, and they hate the smell of human, which strikes me very strange since they got so many human slaves. We don't get into that though. They must put some kind of stanky solution on them so they can smell them or something. They have bald heads with pimples all over their body. The older ones have a lot of pimples all over their body. The younger ones are smooth baby skin style. They have long noses that appear to look like elephant trunk, but they really are beaks, as in penguin beaks. The older they get, the longer their nose grow, but it's really a beak, which has been displayed as like an elephant trunk because it can get longer, and some of them come down, some of the older ones come down to the middle of their chest, so it'll give you the appearance as a elephant trunk, but it's really a damn beak, right? Because elephants don't lay eggs. These Deros, they lay eggs. Check it, they lay eggs. Penguins lay eggs, okay? Look at the cross reference here, right? Some of them have a smooth blue whiskers around their nose, and they speak a glutted, grunt language, like pigs. And they got a satanic, twisted laugh, right? That sound like a pig laughing, right? They have no teeth in their mouth. Their mouth is full of a gummy slime enzyme that breaks down their food like teeth, right? They have 2 stomachs, and their digestive system is similar to a cow. See, this is where the cow connection come in, right? The Deros and the cows both chew they cud, meaning they chew their own food, right? They chew it one time, entering the first stomach, then regurgitate it back to the mouth to farther chew it again, right? And these Deros, remember I told you they burp, right? And they cough up their waste, but we're gonna get into that, right? The Deros, they eat rodents, snakes, animals, dead carcass, insects, worms, right? They love consuming carcass that has rotten so much that the meat can be toxic, right? They kill humans, then let them rot, then eat them, right? They love babies, right? They love, like, they say they taste the best, right? Their body stores fat and then they vomit up the waste. They vomit the remaining indigestible waste, such as fur, bones, and teeth. They are comprised into a pellet, which the Dero spits out. Their baby lives off their mother's breast milk like a baby calf. The Dero has an underground cave system under Mount Sacha in Northern California, right? They also have a base in Superstition Mountains in Arizona, right? The Deros are also called the Sumo people, meaning the obese one. Their chief name is Yabahaan.Ganesha, which is the Hindu half-man, half-elephant god, was said to be one of these beings. The Hindu god Ganesha, right, which they mistakenly make him an elephant, right, and put tusks on him when they recreate him, but he didn't have tusks because these beings don't grow tusks, right? And it's not an elephant trunk, it's a beak, right? Because you look at a penguin beak, and you look at the penguin that they gave you in the movie The Batman, right? You see that the penguin beak, if he would grow longer, the older they get, they grow longer until where it look like a trunk, right? So they associated these beings with the elephants. But the elephant said that they ain't no kid to these beings, right? And elephants don't lay eggs, and elephants don't chew their cud, right? So these beings are connected, right, in another situation, right? And note that your nose is the only part of the body that never stops growing. The being Ganesha, father's name was Silver, who was the demons who came from Nirvana, who landed down, right, and who was mixing in, who had 4 arms. Some of them had 6 arms, right? How the Goran people, the Goru people, went underground who live under the Himalaya mountains. These beings having 4 arms and 6 arms and 4 faces, right? Type shit, right? Which is why when you see the being, right, with the 4 arms and the elephant, this is dealing around some demonized, these fallen angels who came down and was mixing all they seed together down in this land called Nod. A lot of niggas don't want to get into this. It's going to get freaky now for them. They don't want to get into this, right? It's real freaky for them. But truth is truth. These beings were coming down with 4 arms and 5 and 6 eyes and 4 faces and all these beings was in the land of Nod mixing around, mixing their seed together, creating these new creatures who now went underground, who were casted to hell, what they call hell, right? Underground into these cave systems. And like we say, that race, whose leader name is Goru, right? These beings went underground to live under the Himalaya mountain. And these beings are real good at martial arts, right? And they're good with weapons, such as the sword, the nunchucks, the weapons of the martial arts side of the field, which we started in Egypt, right? A Tamaray, right? A Kubalan, Kemet, Anubia, Ethiopia, whatever you want to say, Sudan, right? Whatever floats your boat. We'll get into that later, at a later class. And these Goru people, they can get up to 8 foot tall. Like we say, they can have 4 to 6 arms. The Dero know a form of martial arts too, called Sumo. Sumo has a lot of mixed wrestling moves. They are quick for some fat dudes, so don't let the size fool you. The sumo wrestler today descend from the Deros. In fact, these people that you see that are obese today descend from the Dero. And I'm talking about people that's over 300 pounds. I'm talking about people with over 300 pounds of fat on them. People who have fat ankles. They can barely walk. The Deros are about 500 years ahead of the surface technology. Keep that in mind. And you'll see some people walking around with big beaks that are real huge and with fat ankles. These people descendants of the Deros. The Deros are about 500 years, right, ahead of the surface human technology. They have hacked our old supercomputer network underground that we call MEC, which I told you about on Galactic 15, right? They use some of our technology weapons, which we left behind underground. They have taken control of the surface supercomputer IBM. They carry a weapon that looked like a pencil with a hand grip on the end, something like a magic wand, similar to what I told you the tall whites had, a weapon that the tall whites had, right? That was like a little magic wand that could be used as a laser It can be used to stun you, to confuse you, you know what I'm saying, to make you have hallucinations, right? This little warning that they got, right? Underground, they live in an underground advanced cave system, right? They have convertible trains with drills on the front. They can drill through the rock and melt rock. Even though they're quick when it comes to defending themselves, they use it. They move. They don't really like to walk much because it hurts for them to move around and walk. So they all got these hover around, these advanced hover rounds, like you see old folks driving, but they hover rounds levitate and move around. Left to right and all that, you know what I'm saying? They can move left to right. They don't gotta turn and make a circle. They can just move left to right on this hover round thing, right? That's how they move around in their caves. They also have the levitation chain technology, right? Which they gave to the government, which the government is using. The Mark V trains that Phil Snyder talked about, right? On one of our previous tapes. They've been using this technology to move around and move their slaves around, because the government has been doing deals with these beings in order to get this technology. They have been giving them slaves, right? Mostly clones though. They've been giving them clones and a lot of clones, but they've been giving them a lot of real people too, right? And these Deros got slaves, right? They kidnap these people. The government kidnapped these people and trade them off for technology to the Deros, and they become Dero slaves as part of their breeding camp. And they got 10 slaves to every one Dero on the ground, right? Where they breed these people for food source, right? And they mix, they even rape some of these people, you know what I'm saying? They rape some of these people and they crossbreed with them so they can make these hybrid Dero humans. They can come to the surface like the Penguin in the Batman, right? They come to the surface, they dress as homeless people and dig through garbage and look for different food in the garbage for their masters. Because garbage, to them, your garbage, the food that you throw away in the garbage is like caviar to them. Human garbage is like caviar. It's like orange peels and banana peels and dirty diapers and stuff like that. They love it. It's a delicacy. The stankier, the better. Old meat, right? Old meat packages. I can hear the sisters now saying, ugh. Their rules are not too fun or human, right? They're sinister and pranks, right? And some of their pranks that they do, most of their pranks they do on the human slave, and end up with their human slaves end up dying from the prank, right? They torture their humans for amusement, for fun and amusement, right? And their rules, they maintain the belief that the earth will one day be theirs, right? And they say that one day they're gonna invade the surface and take over the planet. And this is why the Teros, right, are trying to keep them in check, right? The Teros are trying to keep these beings in check, right? So they don't take over the surface, but they are disagreeable demons, right? Who are trapped, right? And we got a certain group of cherub beings that keep their ass in check, right? The Teros keep them in check a little bit, but with the help of the Danako and the Teros, these beings haven't been able to take over the surface yet. And this is the Deros, right? So they're abducting people and fucking with them in their sleep, and we on to them. And we know just who they are, right? And this is the young elder signing out. We love you all. Good night. Goodbye.